Thank you so much, Ramanjeet, and thanks for inviting me over. It's wonderful to be in the company of giants like Dilip and Anurag and everybody else. So let me start with, it's a topic which can take hours, and as my former students at IIT would say, I'm an automatic talking machine. So trying to get such a complex issue in 16 minutes will be a bit of a challenge, and I'll try to live up to that challenge. Starting with, what Dilip said, don't trust AI. Absolutely correct. It's a hallucination, right? But the question also arises, can we trust humans? At the end of the day, we have seen the kind of stories that have been spun. In fact, this morning we see a lovely chill outside mixed with a deep amount of pollution. What's the narration? That agricultural pollution is contributing to only 16% of the annualized pollution. What's wrong with that statement? Because the pollution happens in only 4 months. Why are we dividing it by 12 months? Right? And with that context, the nuclear bomb in Hiroshima and Nagasaki was almost like a Diwali pataka if you divide it by 75, 80 years, right? Did AI think it through? No, as of now, it's human intelligence. Do you think AI can figure that out? In today's capability of AI, I doubt that. And therefore, there is a lot of role that humans continue to have in PR, in communication, and so on and so forth. If Anurag, you mentioned about singularity. What does singularity look like? What does singularity mean? All of you are wearing these smart rings, watches, this and that. Now, I want to sell Pepsi to you or some other nice cola drink to you. And I would like to figure out what really excites you, right? Now you get excited by bright light and your smartwatch tells me your heart rate has gone up because you like bright light or you like nice music. I can actually give you a personalized nice music along with the Coke or whatever drink to have an associative cognition which is positive for you, customized, personalized at a mass scale. That's where singularity is moving towards. I can capture you in a 360-degree environment on a continuous basis. You like something in the morning, I will associate that liking in the morning. You like something else in the evening, I'll switch. As AI, I can do that, right? And therefore, the possibilities that we're talking about are humongous, multidimensional, and extremely challenging for us to fathom how we take things forward. Keeping in mind that humans can't be taken out. Humans are important in this whole equation, and therefore, what is the journey we are talking about? How did we really evolve in terms of communication? You would have seen those cave paintings, right? That was communication. A few 100,000 years later, somebody invented writing, and the great king Ashoka went around putting stone edicts all over the country, right? That was communication, right? Then came out paper. Stone you can't move around, right? Paper came in, and you could move the papers around, and therefore there was a larger communication. Then obviously we know what happened post that, computing, internet, and now there is AI. So it's a continuum. But having said that, have you noticed that outside of this hotel, it's still written on stone, what's the name of this hotel? What that basically means is that nothing has been left. We're using new tools, it's getting added up to the previous tools. We're still writing on paper. I have these notes that I've written on a piece of paper. So we'll continue to use stone and we'll continue to use AI as we move forward. All of these channels will continue in tandem. And therefore, what will happen is a technology such as AI will start using all these medium in parallel. Technology will reach out to you through, obviously, the internet, through the smartphones. A lot of you are deep into the smartphones, through the internet, through your phones, through your watches, through your rings, through your smart glasses, through everything that's smart out there, it'll try and reach out to you. Through the way the traffic light is communicating to you, through how this lighting is being done. Again, same issue. If you have something in your hand, which is what I want to promote, I'll make the light brighter. If I want to demarket something, I'll make the light dimmer. Whenever the light is brighter, you will like it. And I can do it because AI can do it. So I'll go through a few more examples. I had a long set of things put in, but I'll just stop once the time is over. So let me take another example of what AI can and can't do. We had a client which needed to help auto rickshaw drivers in carrying more cargo. Essentially, what happened was that because of e-commerce, the auto rickshaw drivers were missing out on travel because you wouldn't go to Lajpat Nagar and buy your stuff. You would go to online and you will order stuff, and therefore, what was happening, the auto rickshaw drivers were losing out in terms of rides, and at a mass scale, because just people moved into Blinkit, into Zepto, and obviously Amazon and Flipkart. And therefore, we figured out that the corporates are missing out, and therefore, there was a problem with corporates, and there was a problem from the auto rickshaw drivers. What we essentially did was take the example of the auto rickshaw drivers and push that. And that helped in, as we speak, a transition happening wherein you can take the auto rickshaws and you can actually supply your e-commerce packages through the auto rickshaws. Because we said if e-commerce is damaging auto rickshaws, their rides, can we convert e-commerce into a mechanism for providing the last mile? And therefore, auto rickshaws can get more rides from e-commerce. That meant a lot of regulatory changes and so on. The summary of the story is that, would AI have figured that out? No, I doubt. Not at least in today's technology, right? It's complex. There are multiple issues. If I go into details, the Honorable Minister said the design of the retrofit of the auto rickshaw has to be such that the state governments cannot intervene, because if they can intervene, they will start pushing these auto rickshaw drivers and extracting disproportionate money out of them. And so the design philosophy was driven by state center power. And those are the challenges which I doubt whether an AI will be able to figure out. So human intelligence will be needed. And as you have all seen, once you have analyzed, then you feed it to the AI or ChatGPT or whatever, and you start getting the inputs from these systems, which then gives you the idea of what needs to be done. In fact, the other day I was with one of these major news channels, and the debate and the counter and acquisition, which was essentially bantering going on, not really serious stuff, that, hey, your copies are all completely from AI. And the other person was saying that, no, I give it to AI, they come out with something, I take the advice from that and I write on my own. So it's not an AI-generated solution. And that's another challenge. There is faster and faster communication coming out from AI, and senior folks in the companies are using that, but also needs to have a human touch. So that's a paradox. And all of us have seen that if you just take the text, and most of what's coming out in today's news, if you feed it back into AI checker, 80-90% is AI generated, right? And all of us are aware of it. Any of you know who is Sama? No? Sama? Qatar Airways? Sama is the brand ambassador of Qatar Airways. And she's a very, very sharp person. She's able to speak to 100,000 of the passengers at the same time. She's also a cabin crew. She also goes for vacations and talks about how those vacations were because of Qatar Airways. And she's got over 1 million followers. And if you look at today's economic times, and I made sure it is today's economic times because I would be outdated by tomorrow, it says that 73% of consumers for travel are driven by the online influencers. And if you are under 40, then 84% of you are being influenced by the online influencers. Now imagine if these online influencers are AI bots, which is what's happening very, very, very rapidly. And they're able to personalize the communication to you based on who you are. Right? And we are all aware of how you're being mapped in a 360-degree manner. Now the bots are reaching out to you, and your travel and your decisions are being driven by these bots. So let me break it down in a little more structured manner. So AI is not just a channel, it's an intermediary between the sender and receiver, between the brand and the consumer, between the government and citizen, and also what Dilip said, between truth and perception, right? So most of communication is, at the end of the day, perception. Now you have to have that fine balance between truth and perception. You break that trust once, and then you are in deep trouble. So how many of you think that in future, Most of the PR will be driven by machines and interpreted by machines. It will be machines talking to machines. And I'll give you the context. Because when you look at, let's say, Google, you're getting a summary at the top, right? Hundreds of bots are generating content out there. And what you're doing, I don't care what they've written at the bottom. Give me the gist. And the gist comes out. So there are bots speaking in this side, there's bots speaking at your side, and then you're getting the summary. So back to my question, how many of you do you think in future that all communication will be between bots and bots? And I saw one hand going up, yeah? So many, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah? So yes, that's going to happen. And therefore, one of the reasons why that's also going to happen is because the cost of PR is coming down to zero, right? Coming down to zero. Those who have done calculus understands that what that means is not zero. It's coming sharply down in an exponential manner. And therefore, you can generate an enormous amount of content. Can the human mind process that? Let's say I'm interested in, I don't know, heels, right? And the moment I say heels, there'll be a million stuff coming out. And anything and everything that I want will be coming out. Not only that, it'll then go back into production also, because I'll start having personalized production. I'll have the one heel that I like. Well, I don't wear heels, but whoever likes heels, they will get that one single heel. So it is from the PR side, from the communication side, back to the production side. That's the kind of linkage that will start happening. And it's obviously not happening now. It was being forecasted. In fact, I used to write about these articles called Extreme Communication. Subir over here has helped me, publish some of those articles way back, 8, 9, 10 years back, where we said, look, extreme communication, extreme automation, this is going to change many of the aspects of industry, of how we live, interact, work, and how our jobs are getting transformed. Then we come to the issue of how AI is rewiring the communication stack. There are now multiple AI agents from the draft content. So, you've heard of agentic AI, all of us have heard of that. From drafting the content to the personalization of the tone based on which age group you're looking at, down to which person you're looking at, right? So if you're looking at teenagers, we always would have this problem that who is our target group? Because our communication has to be to that target group, and we can only have 1 or 2 target groups. Well, no, with AI, you can have more, because now everybody has their own device, everybody is being touched in a different way, and therefore, you will have multiple draft contents. You'll have multiple personalization. What timing, right? If you send messages at 9 in the morning, which is what we have been saying for social media, that's not going to touch the kids because they're in school. So you can actually release these messages based on different timings which are optimal for different target groups that you're looking at. You can start predicting reactions, and based on the reactions, you can create the feedback loop. Did the person like it? They didn't like it. In fact, one of the examples that Simranjit was talking about right in the beginning was how to communicate that you appreciate whatever is being said. Is you take a hand and you put it on the table and you clap, because you are in a handicapped situation, your other hand is looking at the phone or holding a glass of water. Now the same thing, if you use AI, look at the possibilities. You can actually clap in the phone itself, and you can hear the clapping sound in the system, or based on your facial expression, the system can figure out how many of you are appreciating it, and therefore the clap can come out automatically. Right? So you don't need to really spend your hand clapping and so on and so forth. So every single thing will be disrupted, will become highly accelerated, and can happen at different levels. Why do we need the clapping in this room? Because we are physically meeting. How do we clap in Facebook? The like button, right? So there will be this whole spectrum of just the aspect of appreciation, the clapping part of it. And then capturing that feedback, which is the clapping, and then figuring out how do I need to give back the next messaging that I need to give to this target group. And that's where AI starts coming in, because you do it at huge scale at a mass personalization level. And therefore the auto respond and the goof ups, right? Somebody says, great Indigo, I spent 10 hours in the airport thanks to you, right? And you have all seen the responses to that, right? welcome, we strive to provide you the best services possible. Those are the minefields that AI has to traverse through. Now, that is as of 2025 December. Every 2-3 months, the leaps and bounds that AI is having, leading to what Anurag was mentioning, the singularity, where all of these issues will be taken care of. And it says time's up, so I will not take more time than that, because we can continue taking these examples and go on for a few more hours. But essentially, AI will accelerate communication. It will amplify narratives. In fact, imagine using AI for politics, right? And therefore, the issues of ethics will be coming in. I'm able to change your view using algorithms. Is that correct or not correct? How is that different from a politician standing on a chora in a village and changing your views? How is that different from blue whale sitting 10,000 miles away and forcing you to harm yourself? So these are ethical issues that will start coming up. It'll automate execution, right? Automate execution. Look at the words that I'm choosing, because thinking will still be yours. You may use AI to give you ideas. At the end of the day, it will be your decision, your wisdom, which will be coming in. But it cannot replace moral courage. Should I? Shouldn't I? Empathy, wisdom, and the purpose. So in an AI-saturated world, the scariest resource, in my view, will not be data or content, but it will be trust. And trust is built by humans. It's not between machines. Thank you. Thanks, and I hope you got a great